mind this beautiful Thursday morning. I've been joined by two gentlemen to help create kind of a perspective for the discussion we're having this morning on the program. From my immediate left, I have a legal luminary and a brilliant public affairs analyst, Jefferson Wagi Esquire. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
And then next to him is someone under whom I've been taught basics of international studies and diplomacy. Someone who comes to class and then he just begins to create that connect between him and his students, and of course you lead with so much of return on investment on your time in the end. He's a lecturer, Department of History and International Studies here at the University of Benin, Felix Osareme. Many thanks for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Let's begin with a lawyer here who could give us a perspective from the legal angle of all of these issues too. Let's start with not just the fact that there's already a feud, obviously, between the former president and the incumbent president. Let's look at the fact that even Chief Obasanjo has said he's ready for a probe as far as the $16 billion investments in NIPP is concerned. What does that tell Nigerians, basically?
Well, thank you very much. The issue of Obasanjo Buhari feud already should not have concerned us as Nigerians,
Okay.
because in terms of the fact that we have a lot of other serious pressing issues to deal with. But coming from these, put in quote, two gentlemen with a history of being two-time leaders of this country, at different times in their lives, they've been president of this country, both as military generals and civilian president. The same thing of Obasanjo and Buhari. There is no of such a historical coincidence in Nigeria. And so, to that extent, these two gentlemen represent a very important factor in our political process. And to bring their issues into perspective in the manner we have been reading is a very serious national security question. And so it's nothing more of law than issue of national security. The president and the past president, Obasanjo, cannot and should not be seen to be feuding in the manner they've been doing and they're acting. Because the information and security report available to Obasanjo as president for 8 years is substantial and dangerous to be allowed to be misused in the manner that people expect to see. The same way, the information available to the president, sitting president, Buhari, as we speak, is enormous. And it's dangerous to allow a feud between those kind of persons in a manner that will bring peace. So I think the key thing is to see how we can begin to de-escalate and be involved in damage limitation of our discourse concerning this field, because there are proper channels and avenues available for past presidents to ventilate their reservations about.
Does that avenue include writing letters, open letters, that is?
Open letters are okay, but the content is key. What are you going to put in the letter? We have presidents. In America, you have Obama. How many times have you seen Obama on television attacking, Donald Trump, even though it is evidently clear that Donald Trump have challenges? Before Obama came in, you had a president, Bush. How many times did you see Bush take on Obama and say, look, you are deviating from my policy? So we should begin to establish the narrative. It is all building down to the issue of the strong man. A man will not support the structure. They see themselves as bigger than the office they've occupied. And so when they leave with the office. They begin to personalize the office. No, it's not true. So I think that is where I have my reservation in terms of this.
What we are saying right now, is it also a reflection of the so-called weakness in our institutions?
It's obviously indicative of the weakness of our institution. Because when the man comes in, the first thing, I want to probe everybody that have been in that office. Nothing wrong. It's not an issue. There are procedures for carrying out government work. And when those things are breached, it doesn't have to become a media circuit to correct those breaches. So to say a man criticizes you, or you say, let's go and probe him. A man disagrees with your policy or statement, you set up probe after that person. That is not, it shows an is an indication of a very weak political structure. We have seen instances where past presidents all gathered and say we are writing a letter to the government of the day because we have reservation with certain areas of their policy or implementation of certain areas of their policy. That will make a lot of impact. But when the president begins to sit down and begin to say, I speak on the basis of the fact that I've been the past president. We have had Gowon for God's sake. We have had Shagari for God's sake. So the president should not, sorry, with due respect, the past president of Obasanjo should not generate the kind of tension, having occupied that kind of office. People like us should be seen making that kind of assertions and allusions of incompetence. Well, the society will understand. But where you have access to the president, you have access to the power that be. Because as we speak, the value of your naira is depreciating, arising from the kind of comment that is made about your economy by the kind of persons that we are talking about. That's the kind of story BBC want to carry by Nigeria. That's the kind of story Reuters want to carry by Nigeria. That's the kind of story CNN want to carry by Nigeria. And when you hear the past president raising such a very massive, powerful alarm about your country, about this country, Nigeria, you won't want to go invest in that country. If you have an investment plan for that kind of economy, you will pause and say, let us find out what is happening here. If this past president, with the level of information available to him, with the knowledge available to him as past president, you have to be very circumspect before investing. And then more importantly, in conclusion, don't forget, within the system, Obasanjo have his supporters who will likely want to take position with their boss. Because maybe one time or the other, they helped through Obasanjo, they got jobs into the army, they got jobs into the SSS, they got jobs into the police, they got jobs into the immigration, they got jobs into customs, they got jobs into a lot of these security agencies and government work. These persons are going to start transferring their loyalty to the man that brought them into work. And when there's evidence of a clash between the two of them, who suffers? It's Nigeria. So we must de-escalate this whole tension by asking our leaders to be more responsive in their criticisms of government policies. There are channels and there are avenues for resolving and communicating and expressing disappointment and reservations of that nature that we are talking about. That's my area.
Let me give you a minute to catch your breath and then talk to Osarimi about this. A lot of persons have said this is nothing better than political gimmicks. In fact, they don't even see anything new about this. But a while ago, my other guest has said that every time Obasanjo writes a letter, it just dramatically changes the course of events in this country. Now, be that as it may, how much of pressure does this whole development put on President Buhari?
Well, speaking frankly, it has actually put Buhari in the limelight again. You see, we do not run away from certain realities. If Obasanjo makes a comment about the sitting president within his capacity as a Nigerian, as a citizen, of course, it will just be one of those things you hear about government. But if Obasanjo makes a comment as a past president, it will have a different coloration. And from that coloration, impressions will begin to arise. Obasanjo has written letter to Buhari. He has openly started creating a third force. He's not doing it in secret. Now, people visited Buhari. Buhari supports the Solidarity Organization visited Buhari, led by Hamid Ali. And in that forum, Buhari made a comment that somebody said he spent $16 billion, not 16 million, because he emphasized that point on power. And where is the power? So there is already response from Buhari. So Buhari is reacting to Obasanjo. And in doing that, it will become national discourse. There's no running away from it. Interestingly, as my co-discussant just quickly established, both have military background. Both have been former head of state. Both came back and were voted in as civilian presidents. So they have clear knowledge of the working of government at the highest level. So when it turns to an issue of this nature where you personalize arguments, you detract from the reality. First, Obasanjo has made a comment. Initially, Buhari did respond. That first time he wrote the letter. It took presidency some time. They actually even acknowledged that he has written a letter and they have heard what he said. I mean, sometimes civilized response is also very important. But when you turn it to, you said this, I reply with this, you say this, I reply with this, it will now become very personal. And as my co-discussant actually established, this is the failure of institutional framework in Nigeria. This is the same concept of the strong man. more than the institution. I know right now that in parts of the world, particularly in Latin America, there is this wind that is blowing now where past presidents are being brought back to account for acts carried out when they were in power. Buhari should be very careful how much he pushes this argument, because he has also been head of state before. If he is beginning to probe anybody, let him start by probing his own, and you will never find a man that will sit as a judge in his own case. It will not work. So the Nigerian argument is a failing argument, because we keep using it as a sledgehammer to silence dissent. In democratic discourse, a man makes a position known. Okay, thank you for your comment, we'll look at it. Criticisms are either constructive or malicious. And in this case, Obasanjo has already developed a penchant. He wrote a letter to former President Jonathan. He has written another one. In fact, people just jokingly said today on social media that who is the president that has a penchant for writing letters? And of course,
and the answer is obvious.
Obasanjo. Good. But if Obasanjo's comment derogates from the reality, it is critical. If Obasanjo's comment has the capacity to hit up the polity, it is wrong. And as my cousin actually said, Obasanjo has direct access to the presidency. So he doesn't actually need to go public on some issue. But he will tell you that he's exercising his fundamental human right as a Nigerian, that he cannot sit back and watch things go around. He will even bring in an African adage that says that another cannot be in the house. A goat is having is giving birth and is tied to a rope. So it will be wrong. So he wants to always also, as some close persons to Obasanjo have also said, Obasanjo wants to always be in the limelight. He wants to take the shine for the government. The government wants to take the shine back from Obasanjo, so they are personalizing.
I keep making reference to that letter because it is a strong element in this conversation we're having right now. In fact, it is the basis of how we got to where we are. Yes. First, when that letter was written, I remember categorically the Minister for Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, has said that former President Obasanjo is too busy to notice the accomplishments of President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, a lot of persons will argue that the reason Obasanjo is on this path of writing letter and speaking out against this government is because he's not impressed with the performance of the government. Let's do an appraisal of this government's performance, at least in the last 3 years.
Okay. You see, every government has a template for its evaluation. Your election nearing promises, then your performance when you have been given the mandate.
Right.
So if we take our minds back to 2014 up to the time elections were conducted in 2015, we can bring out a litany of promises. Fuel price will be brought down, there will be no fuel subsidy, dollar will be reduced to a parity with Naira, kerosene will sell at 14 Naira per litre, there will be security, there will be power supply, children will have a meal a day in schools. You see, only a magician can do that in one administration. Let's be very sincere. But Nigerians are so given to magical expectations that when the government says they will give us air-conditioned roads, we will believe them. But a right human being will actually ask, how are you going to achieve all this? Nobody actually asked this question. The man said he's going to bring change. And I remember very well, at least I'm in Nigeria and I've been in Nigeria, after the president was sworn in, he began to actually say that he was not the one that made some of those promises, because he could see the magnanimity of the body that was ahead of him. The economy was already plummeting. International oil prices had plunged to the lowest in a long while, and we don't control these variables. So problems were spiraling, and the biggest one, which is still staring at us broadly in the face, is that of blossoming insecurity, where daily you hear scary reports. So in all this, the Obasanjo has now asked himself, this is same Buhari supported in 2015, because he actually gave open support, not even covert. Now, if you put a template and say between 2015 and 2018, you are canvassing now for re-election by 2019, how much have you given yourself in terms of achievement status in any of these electionary campaign promises? You will find that the score mark will be very low. The government will always say they are doing their best, they are trying, it is the fault of the previous government. Blame game is not the point here. As we say, when you put your leg on the shovel, you don't look back, you dig in. The president has not actually dug in. He's still busy talking of fighting corruption, fighting corruption. That's the only thing I hear President Buhari actually saying he has achieved. And I'm actually yet to be convinced. So in the long and short of it, the government's performance has been below expectation. on a national scale, internationally too, but of course the government will not say they failed. And that's one bad thing too. Nigerians already admit that they've done anything wrong. They'll keep grandstanding. And the president, his Minister of Information, his cabinet, they are just grandstanding. But the realities that stare at us is different from what they are claiming. So Obasanjo's letter came from that direction. But what I can say, as I'm saying, that Obasanjo could have actually done it in a more decent manner. Because that letter, of course, opened a can of worms, and we are expecting reactions, and the reactions are already started.
Let me come back to Wagi here now. Some persons will say whatever feud or tussle you have going on now between the former presidents and Mr. President is a pointer to the fact that power is actually not in the hands of the people. What's your reaction to that?
My brother, with due respect, the people who bring about revolution and changes never really have the power. The kind of political power we are talking about here is a class thing. One group of persons have put power, and then the one that is disappointed and disenchanted, and or more or less put it in quote, who are the losers, they sit down and start plotting. Where do we get power? They move to a political group and then begin to push the other one out. And then the other group takes over, and then we continue the business as usual. And the other one who loses and says, look, we cannot remain like this, we cannot remain like this. We go to another platform, and so that's why you see all these transmutations. So the key issue of power equation is a subject matter that will take the whole of our discussion if we decide to go into details of this more expository definition of power relation. But the key thing is that the Nigerian voting public have been cheated.
That's a clear matter, right?
Yes, they've been cheated. What they voted for is not what they've gotten. The rich are still getting richer. The few persons who are benefiting are not complaining. The poor persons do not have access to quality health care. The poor persons do not have access to quality education. The poor persons do not have access to justice. As I speak with you now, if you go to the magistrate court anywhere in this country, you are not going to see any big man being arraigned. 85 to 90% of the persons you are going to see in the magistrate court are poor persons. Check. 85% of the people who are causing damage to the Nigerian economy are the rich. People that wear good suits like you. People that dress very well like me.
I don't know how you define good suit. It's okay.
You know, they sit down with their biro. But the one that you see that they will show on television, that they are going to project on Crime Fighter, or my friend Aleke will come and be saying, how do you feel now? Are the ones who are stealing 10,000 naira phone, that are stealing goods, that are committing some petty crimes.
The crime is crime anyway.
No, of course, we have no exculpation. But when the system is conditioned, look at it. Look at what it takes to bring a big man to justice in Abuja. A big man. He's collapsing, he's falling down. Come, the arraignment is a lie, it's a problem. Just to bring him, come and face trial. Government said there's something wrong about you. You said no. Every day he's fainting, he's collapsing. So there's a lot of drama. So to explain that, the poor persons have been cheated. And so power relation is a serious thing. Until we begin to insist and demand accountability, we will continue to sit down and watch power fleet and drift.
I think that brings a bit of irony to this discussion we're having, because when you talk about accountability and someone else says, let's leave the past behind us and just forge ahead with what's in front of us, how do we strike a balance between accountability, especially when we have to address issues from our past, and then forge ahead to bring about that kind of future that the typical Nigeria wants to see?
You can't forge ahead without knowing where you're coming from. You can't forge ahead. There must be a starting point. If you are going, if you have a destination, you must know where you're coming from. We can't begin to get involved in selective perception and selective retention, things you want to selectively discuss and things we're not going to discuss. No, we must know where we are going on the basis of where we're coming from. So the key issue is that with due respect, there's some remarkable improvement in Nigeria between the period of our independence date. Of course, we can see that in our studio now. We have private television stations, unlike we had before. We have, phones that can, call without having to use the landline we call IDD those days. These are changes that we have had. Are we where we ought to be by now? Compared to the amount of money available to this country, compared to the human resources available to us in this country. So we are not yet there. We have a big structural definition of success as a country. As I'm sure in this studio right now, you're on generator. I will say we cannot generate, I will say we cannot, fire the kind of thermal station or gas station that can power this Benin City for 24 hours for 1 month with the kind of money and human resources available. How are the South Africans doing it? How are the Ghanaians doing it? How are the other countries that have 24 hours like doing it? Instead, what we have in this country now, with due respect to the power reform process, is certainty of darkness and certainty of light. Before NEPA will take light, you don't know when they're going to bring it. Before when NEPA gives you light, you don't know when they're going to take it. Now you don't have certainty of darkness, certainty of light. You know that in 3 hours time they're going to take it, so you quickly do your things. So your mind is programmed.
Some people say that's better than not having it at all.
It's not true, because your mind is about 3 hours now. Everything about you is programmed now. When you are having light, your mind is telling you they should take light. Do what you are doing. When they take light, your mind is that they should bring it. Everything about you now is light and darkness. Do you know what that thing does in your system? Psychologically. When you are going to bed, you know that they are going to take light in the next 5 minutes. Your mind, everything about you is to quickly put light on. My brother, they have altered our thinking. They hurt us in a manner that we don't even know. Go and put it down in writing. They have only given you certainty of darkness and certainty of light. In some places it's 3 hours, and in some places it's 6 hours of darkness and 3 hours of light. Constantly, the man who is there touching, there's a man who flipped the switch. He doesn't miss it. Exactly 6 hours of darkness, he will give it 3 hours light. That's what we don't have had.
Because I remember here a while ago had made mention in passing to the third force being advanced by former President Obasanjo. Of course, that's it's not a secret anymore. It's open and it's political altogether. Some persons say this is nothing beyond 2019. It's about the 2019 election. And then, of course, the president has his support group now, his organization that supports him, which, of course, also establishes again that the president is running come 2019. And a while ago, we were told that when 2 elephants fight, the ground suffers. Let's look at the ramifications of this kind of fights for Nigerians.
There is no deeper definition of what you are saying. President Muhammadu Buhari, constitutionally, is allowed 2 tenure.
Right.
He has done one, he has the right to contest for a second tenure. Don't take that from him. He has the right. Within his party, he has the right to ask for. Within his party, they have the right to deny him that right. And say, look, we have looked at our policy implementation, review. You have not met our expectation. We, as the delegate, we are not taking you. We are taking somebody else. It's within the party. If the party now insists, oh, he has met our standard of probity and accountability in terms of meeting our policy plan, we are bringing him as our candidate, as a member of the Action Congress. The Nigerians have the right to choose. So let us not begin to give ourselves headache. The president have right to contest. Nigerians have right to reject him. It's a very simple thing. The second issue is third force. There's not like third force. There are about 100 forces operating in Nigeria.
Okay.
The one that you are talking about, because Obasanjo is identified with them, does it translate to political, pressure group? Are they going to fuse into one political party? Are they out there because the masses are quarreling? Go and check. Anytime you have this battle, nobody is fighting because there is no good road between here to Lagos. There's no good road there's no railway line between Lagos and Aba. Nobody is fighting in this country because the security challenges is so bad. They fight over personal interests, elitist privileges. My candidate want to be the DG of NIA. I want to be able to influence who get contracts to bring in goods into this country with waiver. I want to be the one to produce the governor of this state. I want to be the one to produce the chairman of this party. That is all the fight. You go and check the genesis of all this conflict. Go and check why Obasanjo will fall out with Buhari. Go and find out why Buhari will fall out with Saraki. The issue has to do with your own personal benefit. How Jefferson Warrior will sleep well and feed his family well. How you will sleep well and feed your family well. That is the root of their battle. Check the House of Assembly. The issues they raise every day have to do with how to end poverty, how to alleviate the kind of suffering you are dealing with. Go to the House of Rep. Go and look at the issues they are conversing every day. Go and look at the debate they are having every day. You have nothing to do. All of their discussion have nothing to do with how to, remove the kind of challenges the poor persons or the average is facing. Check the issue the Senate are raising. They will tell you we summon this person. He's not coming because they threaten to withdraw their security. Meanwhile, Nigerians go to bed every night without hope of waking up the next day because of the security challenge we face every day. So the issue is very, very bad in the manner that I don't want to. I'm trying to use the right language without trying to be too, expressive of my anger. We have to really ask our this question: are they fighting because of you? Are they fighting because of me? The revolution, the masses revolution never bring the masses to power. The masses revolution never bring the masses to power.
Still brings the elites to power.
The elite. When somebody with due respect was coming to the tribunal, you saw the bike men, they were driving them then. How many of them had access to power? So we have to really sit down and begin to engage ourselves. The issue here is stomach fight for the elite.
Let's look at a different angle to this whole discussion, Sereme. There's the issue of the third force. Of course, he has said we have over 100 forces in this country. But let's just summarize and call it opposition. Of course, Obasanjo has identified with this so-called third force. And then it puts a question mark on the effectiveness of the opposition in this country, because as it stands today, a lot of persons have asked the questions of, even if you are uncomfortable with the idea of Mr. President running come 2019, what is your alternative? Let's deal with that issue.
Good. The alternative factor in every political system comes from whether you have a credible person to stand against the one you feel or is not living up to expectation. Nigerian politics, politics in Nigeria is very, very murky. It can actually be extremely dirty. And I want to just hazard a guess here that one of the principal reasons why you will not see who is the alternative right now is that people are keeping their cards close to their chest. Because Nigeria, as we know, is the theater of absurdities. What plays out here will shock the sane and make the insane become sane. Meanwhile, outside this climb, different things operate. So let's come to the issue of opposition. A lot of people have been talking of how to bring up opposition. We have seen this not too young to run movement. Sowore is everywhere canvassing for recognition and possible support come 2019. And I've also followed some of the arguments, and I've seen that a lot of people disparage this attempt by even Sonyopo to come up at all as alternative. You see, well, I have one very interesting perspective that I have also been sharing with people, that you will believe that it cannot happen until it happens. History was made in Nigeria in 2015 when an incumbent president was defeated from the opposition. If it can happen in 2015, it can happen again. The only difference is that the person that won in 2015 has consistently agitated for that position, so he has become known. In fact, his failure has already been celebrated, yet he won. So he has opened a new vista of opportunity. Now, the opposition is not as dead or as disorganized as it appears. A lot of people that want to bring out their capacities, of course, a lot of talk, think tank, discussion, negotiation, horse trading is going on behind the scene. But I want to believe that strategically, most of them want the incumbent president to have been given the ticket by his party before they will bring out their own candidate. Because between the time the president will get his ticket and possibly you showing yourself as a credible alternative and an opposition factor, a lot of things can happen to you. Sincerely speaking, you can begin to find that you are being probed, you are being hounded, one thing you never did right will not be brought up. Meanwhile, this is a country where we don't actually have sense. And when you don't have sense, you begin to ask yourself, who will now lead us? We shouldn't expect angels to come down from heaven to lead Nigerians. We actually have to find Nigerians that are capable and credible. The city president has said he wants to run again. This is right. His party has gradually shown acceptance to that. It is their right too. But this is Nigeria where you don't actually find even your own friends telling you that you are wrong. That is where it is very deadly, and that is where we are not going to make progress. Because I said earlier on that Nigerians never actually openly admit that they have done wrong. You don't see sitting governors saying, I have not been able to satisfy the units of the people that voted for me, I'm leaving. The consciousness of resignation, of admittance of failure. And it's not even a crime to admit failure. In fact, actually, sometimes you have to admit failure to progress. But here, it's a different ballgame entirely. So the opposition, as it is, they are keeping themselves under wraps. That's my own observation, because I'm following arguments, discussions on different fora, and I know that the Nigeria I grew up in is a very, very interesting country. This Nigeria is where you see something against somebody that is in position, whether it is proper or actually not correct, you are already demonized. Almost as if once you get into public service, you have now become a god that should be worshipped. You cannot be faulted for anything. And that public service is about living above standard, being above board, having that capacity to see into the future. You must have the ability to look back and run forward at the same time if you want to be in public service. So it is very sad that our progress line, as Barrister Wogen has just clearly stated, it is a very sad day. But interestingly, the masses that we know, they are very emotional. Most of their arguments are not based on realities, on facts. Oh, this man is from my ethnic background. So you speak against him, you are speaking against my brother. He is from my religious creed. You speak against him, you don't want my religion to thrive. He is from my professional background. What do you know? Are you a member of my profession? How can you tell us what?
As we wrap up this discussion now, in 20 seconds, Barrister Wogen, what's the summary of this whole conversation we've had this morning?
The summary is that established diplomatic, proper political channels should be established between political leaders and office holders to reduce this kind of
tension that was
tension on our side.
Makes a lot of sense. Let's hear from you, Sarime.
Okay, briefly, our system should be more open for information and for communication. Because once there is that transparency in expressing opinions, whether it is in support of the government or not, it becomes easier to get across to the populace without having to unnecessarily hit up the point.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. We appreciate it. I've been talking with a lawyer and a public affairs analyst, Jefferson Wogen. We appreciate it for your time. And then a notable lecturer from the University of Benin, Department of History and International Studies, Felix Osarime. Thank you also for coming.